There's a good chance that if you're watching this video that you've played Fallout New Vegas, one of the best games that's ever been made with its distinct and unique environment, decisions that truly matter, and so much more. A game that was made in only 18 months because Daddy Bethesda said that it needed to come out before Skyrim did. But under the weight of the world, Obsidian Entertainment would create the diamond we know as Fallout New Vegas. Have you ever felt like your character builds don't affect gameplay? Well, New Vegas added an intricate system that takes into account all the player's skills when making speech options. This allows you to rely on your expertise on certain skills to carry you through a carefully gilded conversation. You can compare this to a random chance system that can easily be manipulated, or just a non-existent system that disrespects the player for investing points in speech to begin with. So then, is this video just going to be talking about one of the best games that you've probably played? Well, no. That's going to be for later. This is how The Outer Worlds stained Obsidian Entertainment's reputation. In this video, we're going to talk about how a one-of-a-kind developer fell to the wayside and became mediocre almost to the point of pure boredom. Yes, this isn't the classic story about how the prince saves the princess and lives happily ever after. This is the unfortunate story of the prince filing for divorce because the princess keeps fucking the mailman. So, what is The Outer Worlds? Not to be confused with the pretty unique indie game named Outer Wilds, a game that might just be better than this AAA game. The Outer Worlds is the cautionary tale of flying too close to the sun and getting your wings singed off. Before we get into why the game was such a disappointment for many, let's talk about how the stage was perfectly set for this game to take over the gaming industry. The Outer Worlds came out at the end of 2019, which turned out to be the best time for a game to come out, because although unknown to the developers at the time, a massive pandemic would sweep the world inside of their homes and forcing millions of people to find a way to cure their 2-year-long boredom. This is an opportunity that any developer would kill for. Prior to the game's release, the hype was immeasurable, and this was due to a combination of a few key factors. Firstly was the stale environment that the gaming industry had created due to the games that had released around this time. The sob stories that were Borderlands 3 and Death Stranding really set the stage for a game to be memorable for more than just being shit, dull, and a waste of money. Sure, there were other games that came out that year, some of them even decent, but there was no awe factor in any of them. Nothing that broke the mainstream. The highlights of the year were Modern Warfare 2019, A Plague Tale: Innocence, and Disco Elysium. These are great games in their own right, but definitely a step below most in terms of memorability. The Outer Worlds could have been legendary from release, especially with Obsidian behind them. Cut to the release date. Millions of players are excited to play the next installment from Obsidian Entertainment. This company could have served shit on a stick and millions would have helped themselves to a second serving. Okay, it wasn't that bad. It was definitely playable and the beginning was almost a good time. The intro of the game sees you being thawed out of cryostasis after you were sent in a ship to a different planet. Definitely a lukewarm opening and a convenient excuse to explain the character creation system, but the occupations you can choose from are a big help in making you feel like you can insert any character into this world and play them. They come with negligible bonuses mainly meant to solidify your background more than anything else. After this, a felon helps you escape and land on a planet. This is good stuff. This is the action we were looking for as players. But once you've landed and Mr. Felon makes a joke at the expense of a recently deceased man, the man that you landed on with your escape shuttle, the real game truly begins. And let me tell you, it's unfortunately downhill from here. Here's a question to rack your brain with. Do video games always need to be fun in order to be considered special? Would the game be doing a disservice to itself by not being fun even if it's a fully fledged out masterpiece in every other regard? Thankfully, that isn't a concern as The Outer Worlds is no masterpiece, but it really isn't that fun either. I think if I had one word to describe the entirety of the game, it would be safe. It never tried anything too unique, out of fear of just isolating the player. When we compare this to Obsidian's previous title New Vegas, we see that the way that you would speak could have massive game-changing effects that can only be reversed by reloading a save. In the Outer Worlds, you have soft-hearted factions who barely play a role in the story, and your reputation with them is really nothing too important. In New Vegas, you can walk into Caesar's Legion and shoot the man dead right there, forever changing the climate of New Vegas for decades to come and damaging the relationship between the NCR and the Wastelanders forever. In the Outer Worlds, you can choose how you tell a guard that the ship they just impounded is actually yours now. Or you can murder them. That's it. No real choice here, just pointless flavor text or death that accomplishes nothing. And while flavor text can be nice some of the time, it being a replacement for actual consequence or gameplay is just not acceptable to me. This is some Bethesda level shit, Obsidian. Let's get it together. The whole game feels this dull, and honestly, I couldn't even finish the full game my first time around. I didn't care for the characters that much, the combat was decent I guess, and the story was more effective for bedtime than as an engaging thriller. Everything about the Outer Worlds reeks of trying to appeal to as many people as possible. This is a philosophy normally taken by Bethesda Softworks, and it's dystopian seeing the heroes at Obsidian stooping to this low of a level. Wait! Many of the developers at the company that were responsible for making New Vegas such a great game were missing when it came time to make the Outer Worlds. Now, this is obviously to be expected, as layoffs always happen from time to time in corporate America, and sometimes a group of your team wants to move in a direction that your company hasn't planned for. There doesn't need to be any drama really involved, but the fact that the development team has changed at all can be a major cause for concern when creating a new IP. The main hero in the story of New Vegas was Josh Sawyer, the lead developer, who I feel is greatly responsible for the direction that the game took. On the other hand, the game's head writer was John Gonzalez, the man responsible for the breathtaking quest and exquisite story that we got to experience. This duo was able to create something that will be talked about in video game legend for generations to come. Neither one of these individuals had anything to do with the creation of the Outer Worlds. This change almost practically slaps you in the face as you experience the game. The writing has poor direction, and while not entirely pointless, makes it hard to be engaged and entertained by what people are saying or what they're motivated by. I never really cared about Pavarti's plight, and didn't even see a reason to complete the first major area in the game. Speaking of the first area, at the start of the Outer Worlds, you go to Edgewater, where after some investigating and talking to the right people, you discover that a portion of the town has up and left. The mayor sends you to dispatch of this group and redirect the power that they've stolen back to Edgewater. But upon meeting with these so-called traitors, you hear a unique story about a group that was tired of the iron hand that throttled their necks. You hear the escapees complaining of the low rations and medicine in Edgewater and how they feel unimportant to the city as a whole, being treated like they're nothing but cogs in a never-ending machine. Their leader also holds the secret to being able to grow crops in this area, a secret I won't reveal as a courtesy for any of those who are still interested in playing this game for themselves. The quest concludes in one of several ways. Either you direct power back to Edgewater, direct it to the escapees, outright murder the escapees, or remove the mayor from power and put the leader of the escapees in power of the city. There may even be more outcomes that I haven't seen myself, but this quest does a great job at showing the player what's to come for the rest of the game. The Outer Worlds is not a bad game, not by any means, but it all circles back to being safe. Edgewater, like many other parts of the game, has the remnants of what New Vegas did so well. Multiple ways to accomplish similar tasks. But somehow, the game has changed to feel like a meaningless slog until you get to the very end, where the decisions actually matter. As I did this quest for the first time, I didn't really feel that engaged with it as it progressed. The multiple endings were cool, but there could have only been one ending and I really wouldn't have cared that much, because the soul of the questline felt removed as I got deeper into it. Now, some people will say that this is one of their favorite quests, and more power to them. Go enjoy what you enjoy. I'm just a guy on the internet spouting my opinion. But my stance on this is that it could have been way better than what we got. A good way of summing up the Outer Worlds: it's better than Fallout 4, but it's way worse than New Vegas. So in the end, do I hate the Outer Worlds? Of course not. It's a fine game that's worth its price point. I'm sure the DLC gave him more content that justifies the price even more. But what I hate is how far the game is from what it could have been. The stage was ready for the next New Vegas, and Obsidian just couldn't deliver. Ultimately, The Outer Worlds will be remembered as a blip in time, a game that was fun for a moment, but uninspired. The only real impact it will have on the gaming sphere is to act as a landmark for how far Obsidian has fallen. But I still have hope. Whatever their next major title will be, I will be giving them one last chance to win me back in style. And I think that you should too. Thank you so much for watching this video about a man in his early 20s talk about a game that's 5 years old at this point. If you want to try the game, it's free until Wednesday, April 11th on the Epic Games Store. I am just in awe of the support these videos have been getting recently, and I'm so grateful to everyone who tunes in to watch them. If you enjoyed, I'd appreciate it if you press that like button, hit that subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I heard that it's good for you, I promise. And always remember, just because a game is good doesn't mean it couldn't have been so much better.